Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Welcome everyone to Archaeology 301. I am literally so excited to be your professor today for what is essentially a virtual field trip. Grab your notebooks, settle in, because today we're setting the stage to analyze one of the most breathtaking, astonishing, and absolutely crucial Upper Paleolithic art sites ever discovered by humankind. We are going to Chauvet Cave.
Just take a second and look at that number, 36,500. Using the latest radiocarbon calibration curves, researchers estimate that the absolute oldest painting in this cave dates back an astounding 36,500 years. That number completely establishes the extreme deep time context of what we're looking at today. I mean, we aren't talking about hundreds of years ago or even a couple of millennia. We are peering tens of thousands of years into the deep past, straight into the minds of our Ice Age ancestors.
So, here's our agenda for today's explainer. 1. Welcome to Chauvet Cave. 2. Dating the deep past. 3. Advanced artistic techniques. 4. Predators over prey. 5. Shamanic and spiritual meanings. And 6. Preserving prehistoric heritage.
Section 1. Welcome to Chauvet Cave, a sealed time capsule.
Picture this. It's December 18th, 1994. 3 speleologists, Eliette Brunel Deschamps, Christian Hilaire, and Jean-Marie Chauvet, are exploring the limestone cliffs of the Ardèche Gorge in southeastern France. They squeeze through this tiny, narrow aperture, and suddenly, they make the discovery of a lifetime. They've just stumbled into a sealed time capsule that has been literally untouched for millennia. And before we even look up at the walls, the physical evidence left behind on the soft, clay-like floor is just incredible. The explorers found these rounded floor depressions, which were actually nests, where massive extinct cave bears slept. There are fossilized skulls of bears and ibex just scattered about. We see carbon soot wiped right onto the walls from prehistoric torches. And then, so beautifully and intimately, they're the preserved footprints of an ancient child. It gives us this incredibly profound connection to daily prehistoric life.
Section 2. Dating the deep past, establishing the timeline.
Now, you might be wondering, how do modern scientists actually know when these ancient people lived and worked inside the cave? I mean, when you're looking at a charcoal drawing in the pitch dark, how do you put a precise timestamp on it? Well, scientists have actually discovered 2 distinct periods of human visitation here. First, we have the Aurignacian period, running roughly 37,000 to 33,500 years ago. This was the primary phase where an ancient group visited for cultural purposes and produced those massive, intricate black drawings of mammals. Then, thousands of years later, people from the Gravettian period arrived, between 31,000 and 28,000 years ago. They're the ones who left behind the charred remains of hearths, the torch smoke stains, and yep, that child's footprint.
To be absolutely certain about this timeline, researchers cross-referenced multiple dating methods. First, they used radiocarbon dating on over 250 samples of charcoal from the drawings, the soot, and the animal bones. But they didn't stop there. They also used a completely different technique called 36CL geomorphological dating, specifically looking at the rock slide surfaces just outside the cave. And this proved that a massive cliff collapse sealed the cave's entrance roughly 29,000 years ago. This dual-method approach is the absolute rigor of archaeological science in action. It proves for sure that no humans or large animals entered that cave from the time of the collapse right up until 1994.
Section 3. Advanced artistic techniques. Masters of the Ice Age.
Let's guide our eyes away from the floor now and up to the limestone walls. Make no mistake, these were not primitive doodles. These early humans were the absolute masters of the Ice Age. Let's walk through a step-by-step tutorial of their prehistoric art creation because their methods were genius. Step 1. The artists actually prepared their canvas. They used tools to actively scrape the limestone wall clear of debris and concretions, which left a smoother, noticeably lighter area to work on. Step 2. They drew the outlines using materials like burnt wood charcoal or red ochre pigment. And then step 3, and this is where their true mastery shines, they incised or etched around the outer edges of the figures. This etching created a spectacular 3D quality and gave this profound, almost magical illusion of movement.
And speaking of movement, what's really wild about this artwork is how rare it was for Ice Age art to depict dynamic, interactive scenes. You see, most cave art from this era consists of static, individual animal portraits just sort of floating on the wall. But at Chauvet, the artwork portrays real-time interactions. For example, there's this incredible panel depicting a pair of woolly rhinoceroses violently butting horns, likely in a contest for territory or mating rights. They didn't just capture form, they captured action and narrative.
Section 4. Predators over prey, a unique menagerie.
This leads us right into the subject matter of the art itself, which raises a massive anthropological question. Why? Why would these artists spend hours deep in the pitch dark, risking their lives to draw terrifying apex predators instead of the typical animals they actively hunted for food? If you look at typical cave art from other sites, it focuses heavily on familiar, hunted herbivores. You know, your horses, your aurochs, your mammoths. It's essentially an Ice Age grocery list. But Chauvet Cave is completely different. Its walls are dominated by dangerous, man-eating predators. We are talking majestic cave lions, leopards, massive cave bears, and packs of cave hyenas. It is a terrifying and entirely unique menagerie.
And right alongside these hyper-realistic, figurative paintings of deadly predators, we find a stark contrast: abstract marks. The artists left behind red ochre hand stencils. They created these by placing their hands flat against the cave surface and physically blowing pigment over them, leaving a ghostly negative silhouette behind. You'll also see abstract dots and lines scattered throughout the galleries. It's quite literally the fingerprint of human presence.
Section 5. Shamanic and Spiritual Meanings. Deciphering the Symbols.
So, what does this all mean? Let's dive into the two prevailing theories exploring what these specific artistic choices meant to prehistoric culture. The first theory, famously proposed by early prehistorians, is sympathetic magic. This suggests that drawing the animals was a form of ritual or magic designed to ensure a successful hunt, or maybe to bring fertility to the land. But I want us to think critically here for a second. This theory doesn't fully explain Chauvet. If it's all about hunting magic, why the heavy focus on cave lions and hyenas? These were animals they absolutely did not hunt for food.
That brings us to the contrasting perspective, shamanism. This theory proposes that the deep, sensory-deprived environment of the cave was purposefully used for spiritual rituals. The dangerous predators in those abstract dots might actually represent visions seen during trance states, spiritual transformations, and an intense, ritualistic connection to an animal spirit world.
And we have something that brilliantly illustrates this shamanic theory. Deep within the end chamber, there's a conical limestone pendant naturally hanging from the ceiling. On it, they drew a partial Venus figure, a vulva attached to incomplete legs. But right above it, in direct contact, is the imposing head of a bison. Some researchers actually call this composite drawing a minotaur. It's a super rare, half-human, half-animal depiction that strongly supports the idea of spiritual, shamanic transformation rather than just being a simple hunting tally.
Section 6. Preserving Prehistoric Heritage, the Modern Challenge.
As totally fascinating as the ancient past is, we do have to exit the cave and return to the present. As modern archaeologists, we have to talk about conservation. The absolutely crucial point here is what we call the Lascaux lesson. Back in the 20th century, caves like Lascaux and Altamira were opened wide to the public, but large-scale tourism fundamentally altered those delicate cave climates. The heat and moisture from human breath alone led to the devastating growth of mold on the walls, which permanently damaged the ancient pigments. So to protect the breathtaking originals at Chauvet, the actual cave has been strictly sealed off to the public since the very day it was discovered.
Let's quickly walk through the timeline of how scientists and the government scrambled to protect the cave while still somehow sharing its wonders with the rest of us. It was discovered in 1994, and by 2000, a dedicated conservation expert was appointed to manage the site. In 2014, recognizing its completely unmatched significance, UNESCO granted it World Heritage status. Finally, in 2015, a massive undertaking was completed. The Grotte Chauvet II replica officially opened to the public.
And let me tell you, this isn't just a museum exhibit. It is the largest cave replica ever built anywhere in the world, literally 10 times bigger than the Lascaux facsimile. Scientists used cutting-edge technology to create full-size 3D reproductions of the art on simulated limestone, but it's also designed as an incredibly immersive sensory journey. Visitors experience the identical temperature, the humidity, the darkness, and the profound silence of the real cave. They've even carefully reproduced the prehistoric acoustics. When you walk through it, you feel what the Aurignacian artists felt.
When modern wildlife biologists analyze these paintings today, they are stunned. They can often tell exactly what time of year a painting depicts just by looking at the finely observed details of the animal's coats. As this quote perfectly summarizes, the staggering environmental intelligence and observational skills our Ice Age ancestors possessed was absolutely incredible by our modern standards. They were scientists and artists in equal measure.
I want to leave you all with this final provocative thought. Think about those hand stencils blown in red ochre and those roaring cave lions. What does this 36,000-year-old drive to descend into the pitch black, armed with nothing but fire and pigment?
tell us about the foundational human need to create art, to seek spiritual meaning, and to leave a memory behind. Perhaps we really aren't so far removed from the masters of Chauvet Cave, after all. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, students. Stay curious and keep exploring.